Welcome to your Success Tonic. If you're ready to explore what it would mean to step into your boldest, most exciting vision of success, then you're in the right place. Welcome to your Success Tonic. I am delighted to welcome Dawn onto the podcast today to talk to you about the As Good As It Gets Summit that she hosts and that I am honored to be taking part in. Coming from a background of natural health, Dawn Calvinisti has owned multiple businesses as a doula, a childbirth educator, a homeopath, and eventually an essential oil-based network marketing business. Dawn spent 7 years building this business to multiple six figures. She reached the top 3% of leaders in just under 3 years, which is phenomenal. She loves to coach ambitious women who are looking to reach the next level, whether that's in their business or in their personal lives. As a recovering people pleaser, perfectionist, and procrastinator, Dawn created online summits for women who want to move away from these 3 Ps and find more joy and less stress in life. She's spoken internationally on multiple podcasts and online summits to inspire women to put themselves on their to-do lists without apology. To bring her message to even more women, she launched her podcast, Imperfection in Progress, in January 2023, with a membership site to create community and provide accountability. Welcome, Dawn. I'm so glad you're here.
I am so honored to be here, Natalie. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So, Dawn, I would love to ask you to please tell me a bit more about what inspired you to launch this amazing summit.
Yeah, it actually goes back to about 1.5 years ago when I was noticing that in my clients, in my friends, in family members, all the women I was talking to, they kept talking about the fact that they were so overwhelmed, that they felt like every day was just running into the next one. You know, they have good intentions, but then weeks go by and things don't change. And I thought, you know what, this cannot just be me that is noticing this. So I started to reach out to a few coaching friends, right? We kind of network in our zone. And so I reached out to a few friends and just asked, are you hearing this? And yes, they were hearing it too. And so I thought, you know what, I have enough network. I have enough know-how. I need to help these women in a bigger platform. And so I started to work towards building a summit, and we launched the first As Good As It Gets summit last February in order to help expand, just to be able to help these women that were struggling. And it was really, really well received. People asked, will you do this again next year? Which is always a good sign.
Yes.
And so as last year was kind of coming to a close, I thought I need to get going on this because I'm still hearing this, and I'm hearing people asking some of the same questions and some new people asking the same questions. So here we are.
Fantastic. Yes. I'm so glad you responded to that need. I mean, one of the reasons I'm excited that you're on this podcast is that so many of those who are listening today want to cut their to-do lists in half and increase, their joy in life. And that is what you specialize in. So I know that you love helping women to break free from that overwhelm. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the pivotal moment that happened for you that allowed you to break free from people pleasing.
Yeah, I think for me, and this goes right back to my childhood. I grew up in a home where I was in a minister's family, so a pastor's family, and that was part of what my role was in my own family as a child. And if, I did the right things and said the right things and, pleased my family, pleased the church body, pleased the friends in the congregation, all of that type of thing, then I was accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was what I thought was the norm, and that's what you needed to do. And it really influenced my choices all through my teen years into my first marriage, where I, basically married to people please. I spent my 8 years in that marriage people pleasing my husband and submitting to everything he had to say and do, had no voice of my own. And then eventually realized like something's not right here. Like, I don't even know what I like. I don't know who I am. If somebody asks me, like, what would you like to do? I just say what they want to do. And I go along with everybody. And that isn't a life. So as I started to question those things, and I decided I actually seeked out some therapy and just walked through, why was I making these decisions? Why wasn't I putting my own voice forward? And that really, to me, was the pivotal moment where I started to understand, with the help of a therapist, like, I do have a voice. I do have a choice. I am somebody other than my husband or my parents. And so it really helped me to start unwinding who I was and starting to discover that, because I really didn't know.
Yes, I can relate to your story so much, Dawn. So thank you for sharing that. I remember reading the book by, I think her name is Bronnie Ware. It's the top 5 regrets of the dying. And the number one regret of the dying is that I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. And so I feel like this is something that's going to resonate with a lot of people, that a lot of us want to please and keep those around us happy, but it can sometimes come to the detriment of our own happiness. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's an important subject to talk about and raise awareness around as well. Because we, for me, at any rate, I went around for a long time not even being aware of it. Right. I just thought this was how I should be. This was a normal way to be, right?
That's right. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that you've said that the best way to grow is to learn from other women who've been where you are and reach the other side, right? So can you tell us a little bit about maybe someone who particularly inspired you or influenced you on your journey?
Yeah, I think I had multiple women which came in to my life in different stages. And I think that's what happens, right? When you actually want to grow, when you're reaching for that thing, the universe, God, Providence puts that person in your path, and your reticular activating system, I guess, in your brain really is going after what is most important at that time, and so it calls in those people. And I found three main women in my life. One who had been through a divorce at a younger age within the church, which for me, that was a bit of a taboo. And so just having a friend that had walked that path, who had found herself, who had made choices to bring her own voice forward, was a really helpful person for me to be able to bounce ideas off and just ask, like, is this okay? Is this okay? Because I didn't know. And I think the other thing too is I had an older woman who was like a grandma type figure, and she had been through, just a relatively regular, she would probably say it's a very boring, dull life. But the reality was, she was just very strong in who she was. She knew who she was. She had her opinions. She wasn't afraid to say them. And she wanted to know what yours were, and she wouldn't let you back out. So yeah, so she was really at the beginning, it kind of grated on me, of course, because I wasn't sure. But eventually it started to help me to question and to find those answers. And so she was a really safe space for me to be able to go to and figure out who I was and what I thought and what my belief system was and what my feelings about, just different things, just opinions in life were. And I think that probably the third one was just a little bit later on, as I was transitioning. I actually was remarrying and, starting over in some ways, was having somebody else who was able to just be there and walk with me as I was making decisions. Because again, I was very questioning, like, is this who I am? Is this what I want? Is this what I'm looking for? And for me, it's all about community now at this point in my life. It's why I make, summits. It's why I do collaborations. It's why I coach women. And I, create a membership. It's all about community. And I think the more that you can find those women to support you, whether they've gone before you or they're walking alongside you, or they just have wisdom in an area that you are lacking in, it makes all the difference. And it just moves you along so much more quickly rather than floundering around.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yes. The minute I started to join groups, masterminds and other types of groups, I found that my growth just accelerated at an amazing rate, because you see, that you see what's possible that you haven't even maybe conceptualized for yourself before, right? You seeing
Yes.
this woman speaking her mind, for example, it's like, oh yeah,
Yep.
this is something that's not just possible, but maybe admirable, right? And that I want to
Right.
aspire to that. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So Dawn, I am curious, how has your definition of success evolved over time, and why? Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think probably starting out, especially when I started to launch my network marketing business,
Mm-hmm.
that was my idea of like being successful was having the income, having the 6 figures, being able to say I went from here to here and showing the growth. And I think at the beginning, that's what I really equated success with. But the more I got into that journey, the more I started to realize the areas that I was deficient in, the things that I didn't know, the skill sets I didn't have, the leadership abilities, capabilities that weren't there yet because it was growing along with me. And as I started to explore those areas, that started to change what success was. So for me, success is more about influence when it comes to my business. It's more
Mm-hmm.
about being able to help um, others in a way that brings out their light, brings out their excitement, brings out their passion, rather than necessarily just getting it done or
Right.
leading by telling people. And I think part of that, the influence is an important part for me when it comes to success. And then the other thing is growth. I think every time that I get uncomfortable, I know I'm growing. I know that if I push through that discomfort, there's something great on the other side. And that's the success when I can say, okay, I'm not going to buckle under. I'm going to push through this discomfort because I know that this will create a whole new, avenue, world, possibilities, all of that. And that also is success. So to me, it's the
Mm.
influence and the moving through the discomfort.
Oh, I love that definition. I love that vision that you're painting. Yeah, of it's real grit and resilience as well, right? That allows us to kind of push through the difficulty rather than backing away from it and allowing to move into what we really want as a result. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm wondering, how what would you say, um, what habits would you say support you the most to fill your days with meaning and fulfillment now?
Wow, habits. This is a funny one. Women in my community will laugh to hear this
Okay.
because I am definitely a recovering perfectionist as the number
Right.
one for
Yes.
me out of perfectionism and people pleasing and procrastination. And so when somebody asks me like, what do you do to set yourself up for the day? I literally have like an arm's length list because I feel so much more I think fulfilled. Really, for me, it's feeling fulfilled in my day when I can say I started my day off intentionally. I
Mm.
really set, the bar. This is what I want my day to feel like. This is what I want
Yes.
my day to look like. These are the most important things for me to get done. This is what I want my family to feel at the end of the day. This is the time that I want to fit in for me in the day. So for me, I have, the list of things that kind of create that. And it starts with my morning routine. It always starts with my morning routine.
Mm.
So I would say for me, it's having that. I wake up quite early, somewhere between 5 and 6 in the morning. And it's a little bit dark here. I live in Guatemala, so it's a little bit dark here before 6. And I have that time when nobody else is awake. I can spend some time breathing. I can get on my yoga mat and actually just listen to my brain for a little bit. Then I can then I can just move away from that and get into my body, spend some time just preparing myself for what's to come that day. And then from there I go for a walk always outside in nature every morning. I find that that's the most most relaxing time of my entire day and the most creative time of my entire day. And so I love that because I can just walk, or I can listen to a podcast, or I can, say things in my notes on my phone to remind myself that, I thought of this idea, or I thought of that idea. And for me, that's my favorite part of the whole day. It's probably the first couple of hours of my day, just setting the tone for everything to come. It's so much easier to pivot if you've had that foundation first in the morning, even if something comes out of the blue.
Yes, I have to say I have the exact, same feeling that when I started to adopt that kind of mindset around structuring my mornings, everything changed, having that as your foundation, as you said. It sort of allows you to have this kind of clarity as you move through the day. The thing that you said that I really love is this, how do I want to feel? How do I want my family to feel? Bringing that as a filter to the decisions that you make is really powerful. So you're very inspiring.
It's very different when you look at your day through a feeling, because we know our mind creates our emotions. So if we can really think about what do we want our days to feel like, then it's like you said at the beginning, when the end of life comes and you're looking back, we regret the things we didn't feel. It's not really the action, it's the way that life felt overall. Or when you look back on the last month, if it felt chaotic, we don't like that. So how do we then create that? And so that intentional time of really setting up the feeling for the day, for me, has really made a big difference.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you. And would you have a resource or a tip that you could share around this, building your day with intention that the listeners could look at?
Oh, Nathalie, there's a book that I'm thinking of, and I've totally blanked on the name.
Oh, that's okay. It happens to all of us.
The Slight Edge. So The Slight Edge.
Okay.
By Jeff Olson. And it's specifically, like, it's for any area of your life. It does not matter. You can apply it to absolutely everything, but it's really about the little things, how it's the little things that impact everything. It's not making big jumps and leaps. It's how you habitually choose to do the smallest things, and those will compound and be able to create the life that you want, or the relationship you want, or the work you want, whatever it is. And for me, that's been a consistent book that I've gone back to when I feel like I'm just going a little off track, because it's just such a good reminder. It's not about making that big next, gigantic goal. It's about, what am I doing right now, every day?
It's so empowering as well when we break down things into their smallest parts. It is so much more within reach, and those little things can add up to very, very big things in the end. Yeah, so I will definitely be looking out for that book. Thank you for sharing that, Dawn. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking to me today. I was wondering if you could share with listeners, more about the summit and where they can find you online.
Yeah, so the summit is totally free, which is one of my favorite things about it. It's very accessible. You can go, I'm sure you'll have links or whatever, but it just to the As Good As It Gets summit would be there. And you can find me on my website, which is pursueprogress.com. So the summit itself is a 5-day summit from the 6th to the 10th of February. And you have access each day to 3 to 4 speakers every day. Every one of them, I mean, Nathalie, you were an absolute gift to have in the summit, but every one of our speakers have so much to bring and so much to offer you, and very tangible, manageable tips. So I love that we can, learn to pair back and really find things that resonate with us. And whenever you're taking in a summit, there's a lot of information.
Yes.
And so just picking, even before you decide to register for it, decide what's one area of your life that you'd really like to be working on in the next 6 months. And then you can just look at the speakers for that day and say, okay, like this one seems to be speaking into that. I'm going to really focus on this speaker today. And it lets you, take some notes. You can go back and look at them then even a month from now when you're ready to do something with it. And again, like each of these speakers just have so much to offer. So no matter what area you're working on, I know you're going to find 3, 4, 5 speakers that are really speaking right to you.
It's just amazing that you've brought together such a powerful group of people sharing so much wisdom. So thank you for hosting it and sharing it. And I'm so excited for it to go live and share it with everyone as well. So thank you, Dawn, for coming on the podcast and sharing all of these beautiful resources and your wisdom with us. And I look forward to participating in that summit with you and speaking with you again soon.
Thank you so much, Nathalie. I so enjoyed being here, and I appreciate everything that you're putting out there for women in the world.
Thank you so much.